Hey, hi, Peter Watts Retrospect. How you doing today? Today, I want to kind of go over just a summary of the half a dozen of the blue dialed divers that I own, um, ranging anywhere from a little over 200 bucks to to about the $1,000 range. It's not going to be a full summary on full review on each one, but just a quick summary of each one, and put them on real quick and tell you a little bit about them and what I think of them. Let's see what I'm wearing first. The first, just I have my trusty Rolex Submariner. It's a 5-digit, pre-ceramic, and I also got my Doxa sub 300T. These obviously being more expensive than the watches that I'm showing you, and I'm doing that on purpose just to convey how you really only really need to spend a few $100s to really find a watch that you can really be proud of and enjoy. And I get just as much satisfaction from slipping on a $250 Orient compared to a $9,000 Rolex, and it's one of the beauties of this hobbies. And anyway, let's kind of take a look at each one. I do have again, not going to do a full-fledged review on each one, just a quick look at it and my thoughts on it and maybe the dimensions and such. The first one we're looking at here is my Orient. I actually have 3 Orients in this blue dialed collection. This was probably one of the most recent ones I got. This is the Mako 3. The Mako 3 is actually the same case as the Kamasu, but obviously has a different dial and handset. And this is more of a pastel blue. I don't know if the camera work's really going to show it well, but yeah, there you go. It's more of a pastel blue, and then you got that two-tone bezel insert with that lighter blue, from 0 to 15. But really, just like a Kamasu. If you like Kamasus, you'd like this. Again, it's got the different dial with the Arabic numerals on it, which a lot of people like. This one here, we'll look at the Kamasu 2 next, I really seem to like the Kamasu a little bit better. Probably one of the biggest reasons is just the detail of the indices and everything. They're just not as raised as the Kamasu. The lume's not quite, the lume is not as good. It's still decent lume. All Orients have pretty good lume, but I don't think that the lume is as good as the Kamasu. But these have, they have that polished sides, the brush top, pretty standard on these, dive watches. All of these that I show you are going to have an aftermarket bracelet on it. These are all strap codes. This obviously be like an oyster style, but still a very nice watch. It's different than the Kamasu. I have like 3 different Kamasus in different colors. So just to be a little bit different, I tried this one. All these Kamasus in this Mako 3 have about a 42 millimeter case, but relatively short, about a little under 47 on the lug to lug. So these things fit. Proportionally, these things fit really well. And on the Mako 3, it's under 13 millimeters thick. So, and again, just like all the other Orient's dive watches, it's 200 meters of water resistance, and they do have a 22 millimeter lug width. And to compare that, this is one of my first, this is in fact my first Orient that I bought, and this is obviously the Kamasu with the blue dial. Beautiful watch. Honestly, still one of my favorites. It's on the lower scale of the price range, but you get this thing out in the sun, you can barely see it there. You see that blue sun ray dial is just absolutely ravishing. I love these watches. Love the red tip on the second hand. Like the fact that it goes red on Sunday. Kind of just adds a little color to it. But this one is on that same oyster style, if I'm allowed to say that, oyster style bracelet by Strapcode, which really elevates these Orients. When you get these, they come with the oyster style bracelet of their own, and it's kind of, compared to the watch, it really pales in the quality. So it's always worth spending that extra $80-90 for like a Strapcode bracelet that is just much better quality. But this has got, again, the same dimensions, the polished sides, but beautiful handsets. This is probably one of my favorite handsets that they do on this. Nice polished hands, very easy to read. I really do. It's one of my favorite watches. And again, you can pick these up for like $220 on the gray market. It's just fabulous watches. And actually, this is my latest Orient that I bought, and this is one. This is a discontinued. This is the Triton. This is the original Triton. They came out with what some people call a baby Triton, and that watch um, is doesn't have this power reserve as this original Triton. When they came out with the newer Triton, they kind of renamed this the Neptune. So a lot of people will label this as the Triton slash Neptune. And being born in Neptune, New Jersey, I felt like I had to have it. But this is an outstanding watch. Obviously, a much bigger, well, not much bigger, but it's definitely bigger than the Kamasu. These things here are well, nearly almost 43 and a half on the width. It has the same 22 millimeter lug width. And these things are, if you count this embossed emblem in the back, which is actually quite nice, the Orient emblem, these things are over 14, a little over 14 millimeters thick. But the way these lugs turn down, I kid you not, these things fit incredibly well for a big watch. This one came, I bought this one used, and it came with this strap code. What they call a J. Louis. He's supposed to sound like Jubilee. And this is what they call the Agnes J. Louis. So it's a little beefier than the other Jubilee style bracelets that Strapcode make. But it matches this watch quite well. One thing you'll see here, obviously on this one here, is that it has the crown at the 4 o'clock position. And it has very big indices with incredible loom plots. This watch looms quite well. This. I mean, the Kamasu is very good. This is even a step above it. The loom on this watch is excellent. It's got a similar handset as the Kamasu. They're brushed. The hands are brushed on it instead of polished, and especially the minute hand. It's sort of stubby. It's sort of stubbier. Where on the Kamasu, that minute hand goes almost right up to the minute track. But obviously, as you can see, it's got this power reserve meter on it. And that's a really neat feature. It's the only watch I have that has that. And, obviously other watches do, but in this price range, I picked this up, I think, for about $450 used. And really becoming one of my favorite watches. I've kept it going ever since I got it. It has the typical polished sides and the brush tops. This does have drilled lugs, which you don't see as much anymore. And this watch is actually JIS certified. You see where it says divers 200 meter. You can't do that. You can't put divers on a watch apparently unless it's ISO regulated, or in this case the Japanese standards. Again, JIS, I believe it stands for Japanese and Industrial Standards. But beautiful watch. If you can still find these used. Some people advertise them that you can get them new, and I tried to purchase them, and everyone fell through. So I would stick to trying to find this on the used market. But this is a really terrific watch. Again, a little big, obviously bigger in statue, but it really doesn't fit nearly as big. I will put these on when we're done here. Put each one on. This is my Doxa Sub 200. I've had an orange one for a long time, and I kind of always had my eyes on a blue one. So this is the Sub 200 Caribbean, as they call it. Great watch. One of my most favorite cases of these dive watches. This thing fits so well. And these Sub 200s are a reissue of a watch called the Shark Hunters that came out way back in the early 60s. These watches came out before the more famous like Sub 300 and the Sub 300 Ts and such. But this here kind of has like a sort of like a Seamaster case, because it was actually the case back in the 60s was made by the same manufacturer who made cases for Omega and other companies. But this one here has a few shortcomings. The loom is not very good, but it's still just really the way the case fits, and this beads of rice bracelet is just outstanding. One of the most comfortable watches I have. And it's just, it's got a little stamped steel clasp as far as the clasp itself. But other than that, I mean, some people complain about that. And again, the loom is not really good, but you don't even think about it when you wear it. And this one here is, I've got this about the same time that I bought that Triton. And these are, I find them on my wrist a lot. This is a beautiful watch. It's got the polished handset. And like I have an orange one too, which has got the black hands. But Doxa, they make some, they're one of my favorite brands now. And this watch, I think, is just absolutely beautiful and, subdued. And even though it's a 42 millimeter watch, it does not fit like that at all. This definitely fits more like a 40. They list it nearly, I think, 13.8 on the thickness. But this thing here is, because of that dome crystal, that takes up most of that height, and it's got a very shallow cover on the back. So this thing does not fit like that at all. But beautiful watch. I'm going to jump here to my Scurfa. This is a titanium watch. Incredible watch, 500 meters of water resistance. Everything else that I showed you was a 200-meter watch. The next two are going to be 500 meters. The Scurfa, again, this is the titanium, what they call a Diver 1, in the proto blue dial. And you have to see this in the sun to really appreciate what this dial will do. Scurfa is a company founded by Paul Scurfield and his wife in England, and he's a real saturation diver, so hence it has a helium escape valve, and it's got drilled lug holes. Beautiful watch, probably the closest one I have that's got sort of a Submariner-ish case to it. But this thing on this tropic strap weighs 77 grams. So think about that, 77 grams, and it's a 500-meter diver. It is a quartz movement, has a Swiss quartz movement in it, so it's very good. It loses a second or two each month, but still nice, very readable with that with those big sword type white hands on it. But Scurfa, they got kind of a cult following. They're hard to get. They are you can only go get them a couple times a year when they have them in stock, and they sell out within moments sometimes. But great watch, especially if you consider how light it is and everything. And again, it is a titanium case. And the last one here is what really is one of my favorite blue dials, and always will be. It's my Squale 1521 with the polished case. Just look at that. Look at the polishing on it. The rehaut is polished. Absolutely such a neat effect. If you get it right, it almost looks like the dials is floating. But this thing here, I think, is one of the absolute best blue dials out there. When I bought this one, this is the non-Costco one. They do make a one that's a chronometer now that they get quite a bit more money. But I bought this for a little over $900 when I first got into the hobby. But beautiful case. You see the way the lugs turn down. This thing fits incredibly well, and we'll look at that in just a second. But this is again, probably my favorite blue dial of all of them that I have. But anyway, let's put each one on real quick. We might as well start with that one I had here. Let's put on the Squale, and you'll see how well these things fit. They fit really, really well, really well. For, again, another 500-meter diver. Squale's got a tremendous history. Maybe not as well known as a lot of the other names out there, but this thing here, just a beautiful dial, beautiful case. The way these lugs, let me get a little wider here, and this, you can see how this thing fits the wrist. Beautiful. One of my favorite dive watches. Love the Orient minute hand. It's great legibility on this for sure. And next we'll get the ones with the rubber strap on first. Here we'll go put the Scurfa on. And the thing with the Scurfa you're going to find is just how light it is. It's just amazing. For 77 grams for a 500-meter diver is pretty crazy. They do make bracelets for this. With mine, I bought it on the rubber strap. Then I put it on what I thought was a better quality tropic strap. But this here, nice, beautiful dial. It's one of the few quartz watches that I have. But Scurfa, I'm telling you, check them out. They're a little hard to get, but there's tons of them on eBay. They make all sorts of colors. They did make the same watch in stainless steel as well. So I'm sure you could find something that you would like on that. And again, kind of a cult watch. And again, they're just hard to get to buy them direct. But again, plenty of them out there. Plenty of them on eBay and such. We'll get to the Orient here. This is my Mako 3. The Mako 3. Again, if you like Hamasus, this fits exactly the same. And again, the way the proportions of this watch, I think, are just outstanding. I mean, to think you could pick these up for $200, sometimes as low as almost $200, maybe $220 on the gray market. You can buy them direct for about $300 direct from Orient or Long Island Watch and such. But Beautiful, a different dial, a little bit different than the Kamasu. Again, my only complaint is really the loom is not as good. It's just not as intense as the or long lasting as the Kamasus. But like all the Kamasus, they just fit very well. And again, these are anything on a strap here is on a strap coat aftermarket. One thing I would recommend if you're into a budget diver and you buy one of these Orients, spend the $89 and upgrade the bracelet. It really makes a big difference. Gives the watch a much better feel because the watch is great for the money. The bracelets, not as much. Blue one. This is the one that got me into the Orients originally. And again, this thing going to fit just like the Mako 3. Love that handset. Still one of my favorite handsets. And you get these out in the sun. The dials just dance in blue. Look at that. Just beautiful. But as you can see, I mentioned the hand. See that handset? The minute hand goes right up to the minute track, unlike the Triton that we'll look at here in just a minute. But beautiful watch. Again, to think you can get these between $200 to $300, it blows my mind. I've done plenty of videos, and there's plenty of them out there just claiming these are just the best budget diver out there. And there's this, I would never argue with that, never. And then we got the Triton, which, again, you're going to be amazed. Well, to me, I'm amazed how well this fits. For a chunky watch, this is a big old watch. But the way those lugs turn down, take a look at that. The thing fits my 7.25-inch wrist quite well. Love it. Just by chance, if you look at the handset real quick, it kind of looks like a rocket. When the minute hand goes over the hour hand, it almost looks like a rocket. It's a little bit past that. But kind of a neat aspect of it. You can see the date hand. The date is at the 4 o'clock as well as the crown. And you can see that it even takes up part of the indice. But again, look at those big indices. The loom on this watch is outstanding. But even as with this chunky bracelet on it, this thing fits really well. Really well. And with the blue dial, it's not quite as sunburst. You get a little bit of the sun ray outside with it, but not as dramatic as the other Kamasus. But beautiful watch. And then last but not least, let's look at my, keep it watching the picture here. Look at my Doxa Sub 200. Still one of my most favorite fitting watches. Again, I've had the orange one for a long time. And I always love the way that fits. This is a little bit more versatile, having that blue dial. You have to see this outside and live with it to really appreciate it. But Doxa Sub 200, I mean, Doxas are great, and this is really their entry-level watch. They're just about $1,000 still. And if you're going to get it on this beads of rice bracelet. These things are beautifully, so comfortable, But this is definitely, one of my favorite watches. I haven't had it very long, and I haven't let it stop running yet in the 6 weeks or so that I've had it. It's just a great fitting watch and great history with Doxa, obviously. But anyway, that's it. Those are my 6. That's my half a dozen divers. Probably worth about what half a dozen of eggs are today. Talking to you here in 2025 with the egg crisis. But anyway, really appreciate you joining me. Any questions or thoughts, please leave a comment. Appreciate a thumbs up if this helped you in any way. But thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. Peter, Watch Retrospect.